the brainchild behind the whole show. The man for whom a character is named. A man who is one of the funniest and entertaining guys I've ever met, and one of the best executive producers and directors in the television business. And the spirit behind this show since it started 12 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, an effusive round of applause, please, for Mr. Bob Singer!
Rich, Bob, you gotta take your meds.
Oh well, I heard a pot calling me kind of what there.
Yeah, you can't buy these mail order, you gotta actually try.
Now, are you going to actually be in Vancouver while Rich is directing?
I'll be as far away as I possibly can. No, but Rich is going to do great.
Yeah.
And we love it. I thought the impressions were spot on, but I would like to do a little Mark Shepard for them.
Please.
Absolutely.
Moose, squirrel, line, what is that line again? I can't remember.
Oh, the truth is out.
All these words, it's just like, it's in the writing,
It's so great to have Bob Singer here because he's untouchable. But Bob can.
Anyway, I'm so happy to be here. My grandparents lived about 25 minutes from here. I grew up in Rockland County, and so this is a homecoming to me, and I just want to thank Adam and all the creation people for having me. And you guys are, you just fill us up, you know. We just want to do the show because of you guys. It's we feel the support, and we love you all. So, get back.
New Jersey, enjoy yourself, Bob Singer.
I hope, there's a lineup for people with questions. That's good. So we'll get to that. Thank you, Rob. Leave me alone? Oh my God.
We're here.
Yes, thank you. You know, I can just give you a little different perspective, so I hope the questions sort of reflect that. I'll give you some inside baseball on the actors, if that's what you'd like. If a question gets out of bounds, I'll let you know, but I'm going to give you as much rope as you possibly can handle, so why don't we just get to it right away.
Hi. I was always a big fan of the Archangel presence on the show. I was wondering, like, besides Lucifer, if you ever kind of played with the idea of bringing them back, or like if you didn't, like what would you think that you would maybe do with them?
We haven't really talked about the Archangels much. We've gotten a little Lucifer-centric, as you guys can probably know, and he's going to play a bigger part as the season goes on. I don't think I'm telling tales out of school, although I thought Rick Springfield would be great. But Mark Pellegrino will be back this year. I trust this room. Everybody is. All right, I see you all now. It's our secret. Anyway, the Archangels might in one form or another come back, but we have some maybe hardcore angels that.
Gabriel.
That's fake. Really? Not enough, he's here, he's directing. That could happen. Anyway, you know, we go where the story takes us, and it may take us there. So, sure. Wow.
Hi, okay, so
I love your outfit. You look like Jensen in that episode, right? I got you, okay.
I was wondering if you and the rest of them ever talk about bringing back the only openly gay character on the show, Charlie Bradbury. Charlie.
Ah, Charlie. You know, we've talked about that. She has a life outside of this show that is amazing. She is really, really always busy. We never say never. We don't really have plans this year for Charlie, but you know, if Alicia called up and said, you know, I'm available for 4 days, what do you think? We'd probably make that happen, but she's really, she's got a big life outside the show, but we love her, as you know. And I realize that I'm the one that killed her, so if anybody wants to throw anything, go ahead, do it now.
Hi, two-part question. First of all, did she really have anything to do with a character named Bobby Seaman?
No. I'll tell you the true story behind that. I was in Vancouver directing. The character was named, I can't remember what it was, but I believe so. Anyway, that name didn't clear. We always have to clear all the character names so no one out there in the world gets offended. When that didn't clear, Eric said, oh, well, we'll name this character after me. And I saw that in the script as it came up, and I went, Eric, and he goes, oh, it's just one episode for this character. And of course, a friend of mine from New York called me up and he said, I can't believe how Hollywood you've gone. You're naming the character after yourself. And I didn't do it, it wasn't me. And you go, yeah, right, yeah. You're not the same guy I knew when you lived in New York City. So anyway, you know, I kind of got used to it. I think it's kind of cool, but it wasn't my idea, truly.
Second part, is Jensen going to get one of baby's copies on the palace?
Yeah.
Is Jensen going to?
Like, David Hasselhoff did in that garden. Is Jensen going to acquire an palette for himself?
Jensen is so attached to that car. Jensen had us put in an engine that is about the size of these two things, and he says that he has dibs on the car whenever the show ends. I don't know if he can afford it, you know. Yes.
Hi, I'm Anna. I want to say great job at the concert last night, by the way. So in the first episode of this season, we saw a cast crash into a sign that said mystery spot. And so I was wondering if Chuck has any surprises in store for the Winchesters, cast included, and if you could talk a little about that.
Whether Chuck does?
Yeah.
Well, Chuck has left the building, we know that, right? But when you leave the building, it doesn't mean you're not going to come back. Which Rob asks me about constantly. Like he doesn't have enough to do. We always like to do those little things, and you know, I guess they're called Easter eggs, where you know people can say, "Ooh, who's that?" I don't know if you remember the Roadhouse, but in the Roadhouse many years ago, there was this ceramic monkey. And if you look real close, that monkey shows up about twice a year in different sets. We don't feature it, but if you look real close, you'll see this little ceramic monkey. So that was one of those things, you know. We just want to see if you're on your toes, and you were. I missed the first part of that. Sorry.
My name is Stacy.
Oh, hi, Steve.
Did you expect the people on the show to become
as it did? Did you expect this from the beginning? Like, did you?
No.
Like, because last night, I mean, I watched the show, but this is my first convention. I was so over emotioned how everybody was on the stage, and I was like, they're so close knit, like a family that's not blood.
Yeah, you know, when you start a show, you especially when you cast two actors that don't necessarily know each other, and you hope that there's a chemistry. And you can have two really good actors, and if they don't really click together, you just don't feel it. Jared Jensen clicked from the beginning, and I think they set a tone on set that's very welcoming. You know, the people who reoccurred, like Richard and Kim, you know, these people just fit right in. But that sense of family extends to the crew. We've had the same director of photography from the first episode, the same production designer, the same key grip, and it really is a family. I mean, I never imagined we'd be going to the year 12, but if that family atmosphere didn't exist, I'm sure I wouldn't have hung around as long as I have, but it's such a joy to work with these people, and everybody really sort of feels that. And there's a lot of humor and a lot of kidding, but there's also a tremendous amount of love for each other, and that I think really comes through when we put it on screen as well, so yeah.
I mean, being here as sitting in the seat, I feel like I'm part of the family.
Oh, that's true. I mean, everyone here is part of the family. I mean, we're really aware of the fan response. I mean, if there were, you know, and I always think it's great when you guys get together and there's a common love that you share for the show, and you know, and I'm sure people have made friends, you know, from different parts of the country and keep in touch that they wouldn't have without the conventions. But that aside, just the feedback we get from the audience on social media and fan mail and all that it's stunning. I've never been involved with anything quite like it, so it's really special.
And it's all positive. There's nothing negative. So if you have any
Well, talk to Mark Shepard. We can. Thank you.
My question is, like, who was your favorite guest star to work with on the show?
Favorite guest star to work with? Wow, that would be tough. I can name a few, I think, you know, and you know, for me, it's who I've been fortunate enough to direct. So, not in any particular order. Richard Spade, I hope he's not back there listening. Felicia was fantastic to work with. Bobby Singer. Jim and I go way back, and actually when that was cast out of LA when I was in Vancouver, and when I read the script, I had said to Eric, I said, the guy you have to see is Jim Beaver. And so Jim's an old friend, and I love working with Jim. And but you know, all the recurrings, you know, Kim is great. You know, these people come up, they just own the characters. They do great. They're wonderful people. But for, you know, yeah, I'll give you those 3 or 4, and yeah, okay, good. A guy, oh my God.
Yes, I must be one of the 3 men that are here.
You got a shot to get lucky, I'll tell you. I mean,
there's 2 things that I've always wondered about Supernatural.
Is that a Dallas Cowboys hat?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're beating the Browns 21-10. It's a great show. I've always wondered 2 things. One is, whenever a show does something where they flip characters into a mirror universe, like when Captain Kirk went to the mirror universe, the other ones flipped back with him at the same time. Might we ever see an episode that's funny, that's the flip side of the French mistake? What happened to Jensen and Terry while they're in Sam and Dean's world at that same time? And the second thing I've ever wondered is, Will we ever see Missouri Mosley again?
Well, second one first. That's season 1? My God. Wow. I don't know. But I'll take that back to the writer's room and we'll kick it around. As far as flipping the characters from French Mistake, and that one may be too much of a mind bender for us.
I was thinking like you could call the episode The French Correction.
Amen.
Hi, I'm Emily.
I gotta sit down. I'll stand up.
My question is, are you still considering trying a spin-off? And if so, what would it take for that spin-off to be about Jody and Donna's home for wayward daughters?
That has actually been discussed, and that is in a really, 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 really early stage of our thought process. But you're honing in on something there, huh?
We have to go back and revisit the cage at the end of last season, so just, are we ever going to get Adam out of there?
Are we getting...
Adam, still in the cage.
And he's in the cage, yes he is.
Are we ever going to...
You know, I think we talked about that in one of the scripts, and that that Adam being in the cage that long would be so bent and twisted at this point. We don't quite...
Make him a bad guy.
A bad guy on our show. What an interesting idea. A bad Archangel. I don't know, we've talked about that. Nothing that we've talked about so far, and it hasn't germinated enough for us to kind of pursue it. We never say never. We do the craziest things, but we certainly aware that he's still in the cage. It comes up periodically, and who knows, maybe the second or third time it comes up again, we'll do something about it, but I can't tell you now that that's going to happen. Oh, by the way, Jared Jensen had to leave, so you're getting me for 3 hours. Kidding.
I have a question for you, but I also want to give you something to take back to Vancouver with you. I think I can speak for everyone in this
I think he'd make us pretty excellent bad guys. That'd be really hard for the boys, I think.
Thank you, because here we are, this huge fandom. 12 years later, we're still getting new material. It is unbelievable. Supernatural has been utterly robbed at award season every year. And you look back over the 4 leads, Jensen, Misha, Mark, and Jared, as a director and executive producer, if you're looking at those 12 years, for each of those 4 men, can you pick out a standout moment that they should have had an Emmy for?
That's a great question. Before I get to that, and let me think about that, you know, there are technical awards that the Emmys give out, and also the different unions, whether you're in the production designer union or director of photography, and that Jerry Wanick, our production designer, or Serge, our DP, have never been honored to me. Is always I don't understand it.
It's a travesty.
A travesty. You know, I think they're so good every week. I think that Jensen, I thought that the Jensen stuff with the vampire, with the name is escaping me. Benny. I thought that arc was terrific, and I thought the work that Jensen did in that arc was really good. I directed an episode in which Jared was stuck in in that sort of cage in Bobby's basement, and I thought Jared's work in that episode was spectacular. We talk about this all the time. if you're on a show on the CW, your chances of actually, doing anything in award season is kind of nil. But it's interesting. The guys, everybody seems to take so much pride in their own work that they don't feel like they almost need this sort of, outside acknowledgement. So I don't think we're going to get any awards. But when we see this, I don't think we really need any awards.
What's the show's stand on consent of possessed vessels? Because I thought in canon it was already established that a possessed being cannot consent to sex. That is why they had to change the vessel of Ruby so that Sam will not be a rapist. And I know that Sarah Gamble had to fight for that, thank God. But since then we have had the April situation in which the main characters in the show fight each other after it like it was a romantic thing.
What
then
is the
we
question?
had the threesome with the Crowley that was also portrayed as a romantic thing. So consent is very important to me because I've had experiences that make this issue an extremely important to me. So I just want to know what is the show stand on consent, sexual consent, in fact, of possessed vessels.
I'm so glad I
Sexual
went before
consent.
that.
Wow, right in this election there. I don't think we've...
It'll be over soon.
Yeah, I think we're pretty politically correct. I don't think that we're, if you're talking about demons and this and
so
that,
angry too.
it is a show after all, and bad people do bad things and all that. But we frown upon everybody who works on the show any sort of misogyny or just bad things to women in any way. So, I can't think of an instance in which we've violated that, really. So.
Oh no, let's...
Can't hear you.
Trying to move her on.
It's okay for it to be portrayed in a show, after all it's fiction, but you have to establish it's rape. You cannot have cast and fighting after rape, while April vessel could not have consented to the sex.
I'm confused. I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Moving on.
What did you say?
Yeah, but when do you see
Hi, my name's Shannon. I was wondering if there was any storyline in the script, like from like the beginning, that you really like that didn't make it to the show.
Storylines that didn't make it to the show?
That didn't make it to the show that you really wanted to see played out.
I don't think so. Every year we.
Inside of her.
Generally what happens is we plan out a season. We're not always sure where exactly the season's going to end, but we know a place we're going to get to, and then we have this mad panic going into episodes 20, 21, 22, 23. It was, okay, how do we resolve this, and what's our cliffhanger going to be? In truth, we come up with what we think will be a good cliffhanger, but we have no idea what we're going to do, how we're going to get out of it. I always, when Sarah Gamble left, she left Dean in Purgatory. I remember I directed that episode, and it was really a cool thing having Dean stuck there and Cass disappears. And Sarah left the show, and Jeremy came in and said, well, it was very nice of her to leave us with that, but how do we get out of this? It's a challenge, and we do that every year, and it's kind of fun to try to work our way out of a corner that we put ourselves in. But I can't really think of any storylines that we talked about, rejected, but said, we really ought to go back to that. There are episodes that we've talked about and we've gone back, but as an overarching mythology, not really. No.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Boy, I'm getting my Fitbit work out here today.
Hi.
Hi.
I really respect what you and the crew do. I think it's just a fantastically well put together show. And I was just wondering how you got to where you are professionally.
and what your favorite and least favorite parts of being a director, executive producer are.
How I got my start was, I was not a great student. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. I had a couple of jobs. I worked on a newspaper. I sold textiles. I ran into a guy on the streets of New York, a guy I used to caddy for, and he was starting a movie and asked me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I don't like the job I'm doing." And he said, "Well, if you want to just be a production assistant for 6 weeks, I can do that for you." The minute I walked onto a set, I knew, I think this is where I really wanted to be. I've been incredibly fortunate. I've worked with some great people, and I just sort of, worked my way up, and had a career that was far beyond any expectation that I might have had. In terms of directing, there's an agency in California. They used to put out a T-shirt where a talking dog was talking to an agent, and the dog was saying, "Yeah, but what I really want to do is direct." That's true. And I think a lot of people want to direct. For me, directing was I started writing, and there were things that I wrote that were some good directors who kind of took the material over, but you look at it and you go, it's not exactly what I meant, or I wish I could have done it, and then finally I just said, well, the next one I write, I'm going to direct. And I kind of took to it like a duck to water, and it's a great job. You're the pitcher and the catcher at the same time. So, really bad hours and a lot of stress, but I love it.